Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. We've got a short news video today, just looking at the summoning events and the champions that's going to be in them this weekend, and then briefly mentioning what might be coming on Tuesday as well, where we've got the bonus summon rush. So we've got a summon rush starting tomorrow. I'm going to cover the champions in that in a second. First of all, if we jump over to the Plarium Play event calendar, we are here on Thursday. So this summon rush, it starts tomorrow. Now, we have a bonus summon rush actually starting on Tuesday, and that's going to have 50 fragments for fusion. Now, this might be very small if you're watching on mobile or something, but we have champion fragments for Thor in there, mythical skill tome, a feast, some mythical charms, legendary skill tome, XP barrel. So yeah, I think that, I don't think there's going to be anything overly special about this bonus summon rush event. I think it literally just is a bonus summon rush. What champions will be boosted? I'm sure there's going to be something, but we really don't know. It could be anything. It could be anything during this. I mean, the biggest one would be if they did some sort of guaranteed champion during it, because it has been a very long time. We know there's a Freya Deck of Fate probably coming, almost definitely during the Asgard Divide event. But doesn't mean they can't do a guaranteed champion. It's been a while. We could see that. But it might be just a plain old summon rush, the same as the one this weekend. It does mean if you only need 25 fragments from this summon rush, you could always get them from this bonus one as well. You have that option if you don't like the champions that are involved. You might be in a situation where you need to do both of these. I don't know where you're at. I've been trying to collect all my fragments so far, and I'm keeping that bonus summon rush at the end as something I can do if I mess up, which is certainly possible, right? I've been very, very busy in the last little while. There's lots of stuff going on. Pretty easy to like forget about an artifact enhancement or a dungeon divers or something. I don't think I have, but hey, it's there as, it's nice to keep the backup, the safety net, because there's nothing worse than getting to the end of a fusion and going, oh, I missed one event and I've missed it. That's bad. But that's me. That's my approach. So here we go. This is what's happening this weekend for the Summon Rush on Friday, the 13th of September. Basically, Revivers is the theme of it. So we've actually got some really good champs in here. So it's up for 72 hours. It's a progressive chance event with Elva Autumnborn, Pythion, Kaja the Rye, White Queen Ancora, Molly Tankard, the Furion, Bellator Mage Slayer, Ugo Gorgrab, Rector Drath, Godseeker Neri, and Ursula the Mourner. Let's look at the non-voids first of all. How would I rank these? That's a tough one. I would say that Ancora I would put as number 1. I would probably put Elva as number 2. And then maybe Pythion as number 3. I'd actually, you know what? I think Kaja, that's tricky. They're very different champions. Pythion is he's the slow tanky reviver. I think Kaja, I'm gonna rate her a bit lower. I know that you can do some fun stuff. So let me just cover these and why I think they're really good. Ancora, I think, is fantastic. Because she has the cleanse with the big shield. She can give you the cooldown reduction on her A1. This is what I love, especially if you have Narcies. It's insane. It gives you a way to fight back against lockout champions, especially when you don't have mythicals, right? She can have that 50-50 to reduce one of your cooldowns, which is big. She has a revive that revives people with fully reset skills. It's really strong. Her passive protects people. Speed aura. I think she's really good. She's like honestly one of my go-tos for Arena. Ancora is great. So I do put her as number 1. Elva, I'm going to put Elva as number 2. This might be a bold choice, but I think Elva is pretty underrated. She's not like top tier in Arena, but she's pretty fantastic for Siege. She's pretty fantastic for dungeons, for anywhere you need a healer. There's the Sifi style passive, heals allies 10% max HP at the start of their turn. This Perfect Veil is surprisingly good. Perfect Veil on the ally with the lowest HP. This can really disrupt enemy teams, and they can't target your champion, and it can actually be very, very strong. And she also puts out continuous heals on the ally with the lowest HP, helps them stay alive. I find it really good. The single target revive, speed battles, speed and all battle aura. I like Elva a lot, but that might be a bold choice. Pythion is maybe more popular. I think Pythion is very solid. He's more of the go second champion, right? Because he brings you damage reduction with his passive. He has the cleanse with the heal when he removes debuffs. He's definitely more of a go second champion. I don't use him as much as those other ones in Arena. Kaja is interesting. With Kaja, because she brings you turn meter fill, and she's got very high base speed, her base stats are actually pretty similar to the others. Like, you could still run her as a tanky go second champion. can also run her really fast as a speed booster. I think that's what Biohack does in Live Arena, for instance. He runs Kaja as his fastest champion. I don't know if anybody else does. I think a couple other people maybe do it now because of him, but he sort of came up with the whole strategy. Like he really popularized it. If it's not even that popular, but he came up with it. Just interesting to see it. These strategies can work really well at the top of Live Arena, but people don't actually use them everywhere just because they're not super popular. But Kaja, she's definitely an option. I think she's a bit more difficult to use, and you probably have other good speed boosters, whereas just a tanky reviver like Python or Ancora is a little bit more difficult to get. Molly is a tricky one. I'm going to put her the same as Python. This one is interesting. Back in the day, I really wanted a Molly. It depends where you are in your account. So Molly got more defense, bit less HP. She does have a single target revive with block damage, which is nice, but it's a 4-turn cooldown. So she has the AoE provoke, and it can be a 2-turn. 50% chance for a 2-turn and gives her reflect damage. Molly is really, really, really good against Hydra as a provoke champion, who can also be a head of mischief tank as well with that reflect damage buff. Can also tank the head of mischief for you. Pretty nice. However, while also bringing you a revive. So she's a provoker. That's also something of a mischief tank and your reviver for safety. Brilliant champ for Hydra. But you might not need her. It depends where you're at. So like for me, I have, like, let's say you've got a Wixwell. Wixwell sort of does mischief tank, provokes, and keeps you alive. You probably don't even need a reviver. So you might not need him. You might have a Trunda team now. You might have the Wixwell Yannicka team. You might have other good provokers as well. So Molly, her position in Hydra, she's still really good, but there's just a lot of other options now. But I'm curious. Let me know in the comments if you're still using Molly. Back in the day, I would have rated her very highly here. I think now it really depends. Do you actually need what she's bringing? She's great. Do you need it? I don't know. She used to be used in Arena back in the day as well because of this turn meter fill. But now with Stone Skin and Reaction, this is not really as common. But used to run her like way back in the day. They cut in against Hegemons and stuff like that. This is going very far back. So that's sort of them. For the epics, Ugo, Gorgrab, Rector, Drath. This depends on who you need most. I would say Gorgrab is the weakest. Rector Drath is fantastic, and Ugo is fantastic. Yeah, I mean, honestly, these champions show up all the time. Rector Drath is a promo code champion, so you probably have her. Ugo would be the one to go for. So good for progressing on Hydra. It's actually nuts. I actually use Ugo in my event dungeon team, which is crazy. Like end game epic being relevant is bonkers. That's nuts because of the block buffs and decreased defense. That combo is just so unique and so strong. But blocks all the buffs, especially the ones on Odin himself. It's massive. So yeah, Ugo is very good. In fact, yeah, you know what? I would recommend Ugo the most, but Rector Drath is also very strong as well. I'm a big fan of Rector Drath. I think she's pretty underrated. Throw her into your Hydra team, put her in a reflex set, have a buff extender maybe in there. Like I run her with Wixwell for my testing now. I do Aestrid, Wixwell, Rector Drath, and Ugo. They're my core testing new damage dealers in Hydra on the test server, like we did with Aphidus. But yeah, perfect fail, and you can extend that. Good revive. It just makes Hydra a lot easier, right? Because you don't have to deal with the head of Torment. If somebody gets killed, she has a revive. She's not top tier, obviously, but for a free to play, for a budget option, it's hard to get much better. Her and Ugo. Gorgrab is much more limited. He's sort of like mini Arbiter. But the big problem with Gorgrab is that his base speed sucks. 97 is really bad, so he's not actually anywhere near as fast as an Arbiter, but he's got the AoE revive, but it's pretty weak. Got a turn meter fill, but it's pretty weak. Like, honestly, looking at Gorgrab now, he's actually not that good, is he? I guess it brings people back at slightly over half HP, but 5-turn cooldown on this. I mean, funny enough, yeah, looking at him now, how much the game has changed. Like, back when I started, Gorgrab was considered really good. Now I'm like, man, he's actually, compared to the newer epics, he's actually fallen off a lot. So I would, he's useful for faction crypts. That's probably about it. Do you need him for faction crypts or maybe some specific Curse City stages? It's probably worth putting him in to get a copy just for those niche cases, but the other epics are significantly better for more late game players. And Rector Drath, very good for some Curse City Sand Devil stages as well, and hard Curse City. Soulcross, I've used Rector Drath for some of those. There you go. For the Voids, Sulfurion and Bellatar, I think Sulfurion takes this. In fact, let me do it smaller. Like, no, I think actually, no, I would consider pulling Mercy for Sulfurion. Bellatar, not so much. Sulfurion, he's got some really cool, unique things going on. So, number one, he is in the same faction with Teox, and that's something that's always worth considering, especially for Arena and stuff like that. It's very cool. He has a unique ability as well to place HP burn and then instantly activate them. So especially if you get him with the Incinerate Blessing, which unfortunately will not work in Clan Siege, but he can blow up Stone Skin on everyone on the enemy team, which is pretty cool. Like you could do something cool. Like you could have like a full pinpoint, high speed, high accuracy Sulfurion. It'll be kind of interesting. He also gives you a nice shield. This move is really good for Spider. It's really good for Hydra. It's really good for the Odin dungeon. It's just fantastic. He also brings a revive. His passive does loads of stuff, but it gives you lots of turn meter and it's healing allies. Yeah, it's really solid. Boosts his boots. Yeah, he's just very, very good. So I think Sulfurion is one of those Void legendaries that's just like, yep, that would be a really good one to have on your account. So I think he's worth pulling for. I don't feel the same about Bellatar Mage Slayer at all. I think it's actually kind of funny in a way. Like, we've got a lot of these Void Revivers that are just sort of okay. I think he sort of fits into that category alongside, I mean, Raglan is, I don't even know if I call Raglan okay. Like, Raglan is just about okay. Blind Seer is terrible. Raka's decent. You know, they're all sort of fairly mid-tier, these Revivers. He comes in with a Revive with a shield. Decent. Increased attack, increased defense, and a heal. Again, it's decent. His A1 is kind of like a weaker version of Ancora and some other champs. It can decrease the cooldown of an ally by 1 turn only. We've got a few legendaries that do it by 2 turns. This feels a bit underpowered. And then he can decrease allies' cooldowns when they're revived, which is kind of nice as well. And he's decent, but he's nothing crazy. I would not pull for him. I think he's a mid-level Void legendary. I would not be chasing this guy in a progressive event when you could have champions like Sulfurion is a lot better. We have progressive events for like Taras Marishka, Thiefy, Yumiko, you know, just to name some that were relatively recent. I would not be going for Bellatar Mage Slayer. Sorry, Bellatar. Sorry, buddy. And like, especially because like Vizig is in there and like the faction unity, he's not an arena champion. So that's not, you know, it's not something to consider either. Gizmak's insane, but Vizig is more PvP. For the Voids, Godseeker, Ursula, both fantastic. I'd say Godseeker is a little bit better, but they're both extremely good. Godseeker obviously can open up some niche teams for like Sand Devil, which is pretty huge because she can revive herself with her passive, then revive your ally while the boss is asleep. You put her in with like the Ninja that a lot of people just got for the first time for free. She revives Ninja, she resets his A2, and then he can blow up Sand Devil. And stuff like that. Very, very good. I still use her for some Curse City stuff. Good healer, extending buffs. Godseeker is very solid. I've seen some people using her in teams in Curse City, not in Curse City, in Siege as well. And you're like, what is going on? People using a Godseeker in their arena defenses, like endgame players, is crazy. Definitely we don't do that. But she is very good. And then, if I got into the wrong faction, I have because she's a Bannerlord. Ursula the Mourner, also really solid. Void. Her downside is her defense kind of sucks. So she's actually a bit squishier than you would think, and she doesn't have a self-heal. So you're usually building Ursula more in like a regen set, trying to crank her HP really high, and relying on her sort of her defensive buffs to keep her alive and the regen set. It works very well. What's really nice about her for building like a Hydra team or dungeon teams is she brings the increased attack for your team, but also an AoE decrease attack. So she's sort of helping you stay alive, but also upping your damage, which is nice. He does use this move, even if nobody is dead, the increased defense and strengthen, which is cool. It does have a long 5-turn cooldown, though, but the revive is very strong, right? Coming back 75% HP, 50% turn meter, and then increased defense and strengthen. Especially, you know, in arena, it might not be enough these days at all, but in PvE content, this is huge. You revive somebody, you know, they're actually going to stay alive. Like, this is very substantial. Like, you compare that revive to Gorgrab's revive, it is dramatically better. In fact, this is better than most legendary revives. Let's be honest. It's very, very solid. Yeah, that's Ursula the Mourner. The speed in Doom Tower's aura is actually really good too. So, yeah, I'm looking at this. If I'm a free-to-play player, an earlier game player doing the Thor fusion, I think you've got a lot of very good options, honestly. I think you've got very good options. Any of these revivers from your regular shards could be very helpful to you and what you need. That's my opinion on it. All of the epics, apart from, Gore Grab is still useful for faction crypts, but you've got lots of solid options for the epics. Whether you're doing this summon rush, no matter what shard type you're using, you have good options there. Honestly, you do have good options. So yeah, go use whatever you need to use. Pretty much, it's pretty good. So I would not feel bad about pulling on this summon rush. I wouldn't be going like, oh, I need to wait for the next one. Should I delay until Tuesday? See if there's better champions. I mean, there might be better champions, but you've got good options here. I think you would not feel bad about getting these. These sort of tanky revivers are just so universally useful, really, to have on your account that it's not a bad thing. And listen, it's only a progressive chance event anyway. So 9 times out of 10, you're not getting them. More than that, probably, from the regular shards. What's it? Right, 19 times out of 20, you're not getting them anyway, so it doesn't even matter. But there you go. That is what's happening. Server maintenance. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so that's where we're at. Simple enough. Let me know what you think about all of that, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.